So I want to welcome everybody. We're so excited to be here. We're going to talk about rabbits. We're going to talk about cotton, and all of the other things that you're doing. So let's start out. I would love for you to introduce yourself to folks. Tell us a little bit about your farm, how things got started, and then we'll go on from there.
Okay. My name's Aleatha Shannon. Um, I live in northern Louisiana, and my business or farm name is Willow Oak Farm and Fiber. And then the reason it's called that is because the willow oak tree is all over my yard. I've got like a couple dozen of them. They're a really tall oak tree that grows in kind of swampy places. So
Okay.
the name, and I raise Angora rabbits. It's very, very micro Angora farm because it's just me. But I have a garden and I just raise food and also natural dyes.
All right. So you have a dye garden as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. I know that. Okay.
Oh, and this summer, for the first time, I'm gonna try and grow some cotton.
I'm so excited. Me too. I did a couple of years ago. And last year mine ended up under the sunflowers and I planted them and they were this big. And at the end of the summer, they were this big. So sun, lots of sun. And we have a short growing season. So I'm going to be really excited to see the crop that you get.
Me too.
So let's start out with cotton. So
Okay.
I got cotton from you. I'm having so much fun. I love those natural colors. They're fascinating. So what got you interested in cotton? Is it local? The
Yeah.
folks? Okay, so tell us about that.
So I didn't start out spinning cotton. I started out spinning wool like most people. And then I really quickly went to Angora because I wanted to raise a fiber animal. And I only have like just under 2 acres. I can't really have a bunch of sheep or even goats. So Angora rabbits was my solution. And that's been really fun. But within the past year or 2 years, maybe, I've been just from doing lots of local craft shows and things. One of my goals this whole time has been to kind of bring fiber art and hand spinning to my local community because it's not huge here. Like my local knitting group has, like 5 people who come regularly, maybe like 10 or 15 who are in the group, and it's like a 2 hour radius of people who drive.
Okay.
It's like it's not a big thing here. Crochet is a little more popular, maybe, but not much. But a lot of people are really interested in hand spinning just because it's so visually captivating when they see you at the craft show spinning,
Right.
it just attracts people. And I just want more people to know about it just because I love it so much, and maybe they will too. I
Right.
just want to bring that joy into other people's lives. But part of one of the things I do in my community is not only the craft shows, but I also occasionally will go to like schools and the library, and I did the master gardeners once, and I'll just blab on for like an hour about fiber art and hand spinning. And when I do that and it's in my community in Louisiana, I have to talk about cotton
Right.
because this part of the country grows a lot of cotton. That like there's a map that Fibershed made. It's on their website somewhere where
Mhm.
it has like little dots for where fiber is produced in the United States. And there's this like group of dots for cotton that's in Northeast Louisiana, Southeast Arkansas, and part of like Tennessee, like around Memphis. It's just big blob. And I see the cotton fields all the time driving around. And so I knew like I wanted to just bring that up to the people here. Like maybe you probably know someone who grows cotton. This is a very agricultural community. This is how people spin cotton, or used to spin cotton. I often give it like a historical sort of element. Um, And there's also a fiber shed for Louisiana, an official fiber shed, the Acadiana, I think it's Acadiana fiber shed. And that's more in southern Louisiana where the Cajuns were homesteading.
Okay.
Uh, and also the Native Americans in that area were growing a really specific variety of brown cotton that was easy to card because the seed is naked, like it's not fuzzy. So it
Oh,
tips through when you're carding out this, or ginning, I guess is what it's called. When you're ginning out the seeds, it's a little easier.
huh.
So they have this really specific thing they're promoting, but they also want to promote other fiber producers in the state of Louisiana. So I kind of started in wanting to talk to people about cotton. I started learning all of that other stuff about the fiber shed, and of course I tried spinning cotton just a couple years ago. I'm not an expert in spinning cotton, but I think it's really important. Uh you know, it gets hot and maybe the world is heating up a little more every year. And so I think learning how to spin cotton as part of your fiber art hobby is a very smart idea and would, you'd be able to create clothing that you can wear all year round instead of just when it's cold.
Right.
So I don't know, any questions about that?
Let's. Oh, we're gonna talk about rabbits next. Lizette. Um, so I want to know. So there is a specific group that's growing that cotton.
Mhm.
Is that is that the fiber shed?
It's kind of confusing.
Okay.
Uh, the Acadiana Fiber Shed is for the whole state of Louisiana, and you can join and be a fiber producer or an artisan or anything involved in a fiber shed. And then there's the Acadian Brown Cotton Growers Alliance.
Okay.
That's kind of like sort of a co-op sort of thing where small farmers grow this very specific Acadian brown cotton seed in Acadiana. So like they told me I can grow it and I could even sell it to them if I produce enough and they'll buy it from me, but they're not going to call it Acadian brown cotton because I don't live in Acadiana. Like
Oh,
that one part of their fiber shed, they want to keep very culturally specific and that heritage and all that kind of stuff. But
okay.
they're also, supporting me as a fiber farmer in general.
So is that the type of cotton that you're going to grow?
I am hoping to grow that. I don't have the seeds yet. I have several varieties of white cotton also already that I'm definitely going to grow, and it's really nice too. So I'm hoping to.
I grew a little white and a little green,
Yeah.
and the
Big-
bowls were not open by the time that I had a hard frost. So I hung them in a bathroom, and eventually they opened enough for me to, you know. So we'll see. It's hard when you have a short season.
Yeah. That's the
Like,
amazing thing about living here is the season. You can grow cotton. People plant it in about April, and you have to cut it down and burn it by December 31st because of the legal requirements with the boll weevil stuff.
uh-huh.
But it's growing that whole time, and it would keep growing if it didn't frost hard enough, but they make you cut it down.
Oh, that's like almost a year.
Yeah. You can grow vegetables year round here if you like cool weather in the winter and hot weather. Most people take a break in July and August, actually.
Okay.
It's like prime harvest season for up north for vegetables, but
Right.
here everyone's like, oh, the bugs have taken over. I'm done. It's too hot.
Oh, I love the diversity of our country. It's just fascinating.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're gonna go white cotton and brown cotton. And how much land are you dedicating to this? I'm just curious.
Not a whole lot. I've
Okay.
got a large garden it's like 45, 30 by 45 feet. And some of it's going to be food. So I think I planned 3 rows in that garden, and then I'm just kind of experimentally gonna try this little patch of grass that I have. It's really sunny right now. Like over the winter, I've just been dumping bunny poop on it in little rows. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna grow as much as I can fit.
So are you separating the two colors away
Yeah,
from
I'm
one
gonna do
another?
that. I don't know if it's gonna be far enough away for cross pollination, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's something I can seed save. We have so much wind. So I think even if I, planted them, I don't know. What an adventure though. We'll have to compare notes. We live in totally different climates. So how fun. All right. So then you have bunnies.
Yes.
Tell us about your bunnies.
I currently have 7 bunnies right now and 2 litters on the way.
Oh
I
wow.
try to keep like my sort of base number. I'm probably going to limit to 10
Okay.
like, adults, fiber producing rabbits. But I do breed them occasionally about once a year, a couple litters, just to keep replenishing, because rabbits, like they say the lifespan is like 30 seconds to 12 years,
Right.
It's but rabbits, they seem fine one day and then all of a sudden they're dead and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I've been pretty successful. I've had some really healthy rabbits and a couple that just didn't make it. But
Yeah.
forget what I was gonna say. Uh well, I raised them in a little shed that has an air conditioner because it does get very, very hot and humid here and they can't handle that.
Mhm.
But I am actually going to try this summer raising them on my back porch, which
Okay.
is north facing. It has a cement floor. And I think if I use fans and block the sun, that it might work. And I think honestly it'd be better in some ways because it would have so much more ventilation.
I was thinking cross ventilation, huh?
So I'm going to try that this summer. I'm excited about that.
So if you want to keep your numbers low and you're going to have a couple of litters, are there other people that will grow them for fiber? Like,
Um, the first time I had a litter, I sold all of them. And then the second year, I didn't sell any of them. So
yeah,
I
isn't
don't
that the
know.
way?
I don't promote it a lot because this is such a hot area.
Mm,
I don't want people to put them in their backyard
mm.
without the right knowledge and things. And of course, I tell people that buy my rabbits everything that I hope they will, take in, but I just worry about that, and they are really high maintenance with their grooming.
So
And I
tell me
don't
about that. What kind of rabbits are they?
they're Angora rabbits. I currently have a lot of like crossbreed Angoras.
Okay.
I'm trying to go more towards just purebred giant Angoras because that's my
Okay.
favorite breed. It's my favorite breed because I like the fiber. Each different breed has slightly different fiber. They are very large and I just like that, but they also produce more fiber.
Sure.
And
Right.
they also don't shed as much. Like they're genetically, they're supposed to not blow their coat, if that makes sense. Like they kind of hold on to it so it can keep growing longer and longer. They do shed a little bit, but
Do you
honestly,
shear them?
yeah, I shear them. And the reason I like that they don't shed is because I shear them, and if I don't shear a rabbit in time, or if they start shedding gradually a little at a time, it's very, very messy and difficult to clean their cage.
Okay.
So just from like a farm labor perspective, that's why I want giant Angoras.
Got it. So, shoot, I was going to ask something. So you talked about the grooming and the maintenance daily, weekly.
Um,
What is that?
the ones I
One
have,
animal I've never had.
yeah. So the ones that I have are pretty low maintenance. If they end up being high maintenance, then I do not keep them. Like that, I believe in the saying, breed the best and eat the rest. So I don't like eating rabbits. I mean, it tastes fine, but I'm a fiber farmer, not a meat farmer, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep,
But
exactly.
but realistically, I can't keep them all, and I don't want to like offload them onto people who aren't prepared to take care of them. So
Right.
that's the best option.
That's stewardship.
Yeah.
It is. Yep. I
I can,
agree. I feel the same way.
yeah.
Yeah. We actually have a be nice or be tasty rule around here,
Yeah,
mostly for the roosters, but
that's a good one. Yeah. Mine is, be easy, be good at producing fiber and easy to take care of or
yeah,
be
yeah.
so the ones that I have that I keep, they're fairly low maintenance for like their coat grows for about 3 to 4 months. And for the first like 2.5 months, I don't have to groom them at all because their coat is short.
Oh, okay.
But then the last month or so, I have to just once a week, I have to blow them with a pet blow dryer.
Okay.
And that's the best way to groom Angoras because it doesn't rip the fibers. It
Like,
doesn't,
yeah, okay.
doesn't hurt them. Like they don't mind it usually. And it's really easy to do. It blows away any shed hairs that can start matting. It blows away dust and dirt. So it just takes a couple minutes once a week for the rabbits that have the long coat.
Okay. All
And
right.
then shearing takes quite a bit longer. I'm not fast at shearing. I hear about other people who shear so fast, and I'm like, how do you do that? It takes me like at least an hour per rabbit. So
Hmm. So is all of their fiber, does it all happen at the same time? Do they all start to shed at the same time, or is it?
no, they even from like the same litter, they'll grow at different rates.
Okay.
I have one rabbit that was born last spring, and when I'm deciding who to keep, I look at how long is their fiber, how tangled is it, all that kind of stuff. How big are they? How healthy are they? Are they a boy or a girl? And she had the best fiber. Like it was so obvious. It was long, it was mat free, and her coat grows faster than any of my other rabbits. So she's having a litter in like a few weeks because I need more of that.
That's great. Well, and then you hope for the best, right? Because sometimes it's a little bit of a, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you do some blending of cotton and other fibers,
Mm-hmm.
Angora and other fibers.
Yeah, that's kind of where I first started my business. Was I got obsessed with hand spinning, and I wanted to buy a drum carder. And so I was like, well, if I buy a drum carder, I need to start a business because they're really expensive. And I knew I wanted like a big one. I didn't want like a little one. So I do make a lot of blended bats, and I figured out what I like to blend my Angora with. I like natural dyeing, like fiber, not yarn or whatever. I do that too sometimes, but I really enjoy dyeing fiber and then blending it. So I do that too. And just the drum carder is just so fun from a creative perspective. I enjoy drum carding and blending just as much as spinning or weaving.
So what drum carder did you get?
I have a fancy kitty. I think it's called Little Tom.
Mhm.
And I got the electric add-on or whatever.
Awesome. That's great. And then you make, what is that special fiber that you do? The marshmallow bats?
Oh yeah, marshmallow
Are
fluff.
so cool.
Yeah,
And that's Cormo?
yeah. One of the first things that I got my hands on besides my Angora was Cormo. I made a fiber friend near where my parents live in Illinois, And she doesn't raise any animals, but she drives around and gets fleeces, you know. Oh, she does raise flax sometimes. So that's cool.
Okay.
But I just went to her house or her studio and bought a bunch of different things. And one of them was Cormo. And it's just so squishy
It's just lovely.
and so soft. And it was scoured, but not like I had to process it from that point on. And of course, the first thing I did was blend it with Angora because I was like, this is a fine, soft fiber. Angora is a fine, soft fiber. And so I blended it 50-50 because I really want it. I want my business to be all about Angora. Like, it's true that you don't have to add a lot of Angora to a wool to make the Angora feel present in the
Right.
blend, you know? But for the marshmallow fluff, I just want it to be extra special, extra Angora,
Yeah.
extra luxurious.
What a luxury fiber, really.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so great.
how fun. Well, and I feel like that's kind of been, I mean, what a lovely signature item,
Yeah.
you know? Oh, I just love that. Okay, so let's come back and talk about natural dyeing because you grow some of your own
Mhm.
colors. What kind
Yeah.
of, what dye things are you growing?
It I growing is fairly new. Last year was my first time I grew a bunch of indigo. Um, and it was very happy in Louisiana. It did really well. I got 2 cuttings from it. I could have done 3, but I wanted to grow some seeds.
Mhm.
And so I extracted it. I learned all this stuff about how to extract the pigment, and I got a bunch of indigo powder. And I tried to make an organic vat with it. I had done like a inorganic vat with
Mhm.
indigo I had purchased many times before. But this time I wanted to try the Angora or the organic vat, and it worked, but not very well. And so that's still being experimented upon. But I am growing like twice as much this year. I've got my seedlings all set up in my living room on a shelf, my grow shelf, and I'm also growing some pin cushion flowers. I've never tried that.
Scabiosa?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to grow just put in the ground some coreopsis.
Oh.
Um, and for like forage stuff in my local area, I have like a probably like 20 little logs of Osage orange wood. So I have like a lifetime supply of
Oh,
Osage orange.
nice. That's great.
That's
So have you dyed with other natural dyes that you haven't?
Yeah, I love cochineal because pink is my favorite color and there's just nothing like it. It's so pretty
Yeah.
and it's pretty easy to use. It's a little expensive, but
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. So
Right.
and so I do like once I've got my yellow with the Osage orange, I've got the blue with the indigo, and then I've got pink and red from the cochineal. And after that, I just mix
Right.
my dye pots, like dip in different dye pots to get different colors.
Oh.
I have also done acorns. I've got all these willow oak trees, and they make lots of acorns. So I've done that. I've also done madder, but not a whole lot. Um,
You could grow madder.
Yeah, I was going to last year, but my seedlings didn't do very well and I got overwhelmed and I gave up. But I probably will try that in the near future. Not this year, it's a little too late, but they take a long time, those seedlings.
Yeah. Yeah, they do take a couple of weeks. I can't, yeah, I read in your newsletter that your seedlings are already in and I'm just starting to think about.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of overwhelming. It feels like the gardening never ends.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I do take a break in July and August, so that works.
Yeah. Still, the coreopsis is lovely. I got this beautiful kind of gold brown. It was just really gorgeous. Last year was the first year I grew coreopsis.
Mhm.
And indigo is so much fun.
Yeah, it's like magic. It's
Yeah.
just enchanting watching it change from green to blue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. A lot of what I do with classes is fresh indigo because there's that kind of immediate piece, and I'm not very good at vat dyeing. Um, but I dried enough that I need to extract. So that's new to me. It takes
I
a while, right?
well, I haven't tried the dry
Oh,
extraction. I did fresh extraction. You cut them, you put them in a container of water, and you basically steep them for like, depending on how hot it is, 1 to 2 days.
oh,
And the water turns this aqua color. Then you remove all the plant matter and you add calcium, I think, calcium something, and you aerate it by like stirring it, frothing it
yeah.
up, and the blue pigments in the water bind to the calcium carbonate or whatever it is, and eventually you start to see these little blue flecks in the water, and they start sinking down as a sediment, and you just let it settle and strain off the water, dry out the sediment, and that's your indigo powder. And then you can use it in a vat like that uses powdered indigo.
Okay. Huh. And you tried that with that.
Yeah, the extraction seemed to be really successful. And then I made a vat, and it like, I have a lot of experience with indigo vats, and it was working. Like, it was the right coppery sheen color. The water was kind of yellowish and clear. If I dipped in some fiber, it would turn very pale green and then turn to blue. So it was just really pale.
Okay.
And I don't know if my plants just weren't pigmented enough or if I did something else wrong, but I would
Hmm.
keep trying.
Indigo is such an adventure, like even more than any other dye stuff, I think.
Hmm.
Because it's tricky because it's not water soluble, so it's not easy.
That's my guess, that where I went wrong is like getting the powder wet. I don't know if I really did that right. I'm not sure. I need to look into that more.
Oh, because I think that don't you do the thing with the marble and rolling it around in the, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I didn't really do that. Like, I put it in a jar with some water and tried to stir it a lot, but I don't know if that was enough.
You can always grow more and try again, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Honestly, the growing and the extracting was so fun that I mean,
Right.
it's disappointing, but it was also, most of it was still really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you learned something, right? Yeah. Yeah. I love growing indigo. It's great. I get usually 3 cuttings, but I also have a hard time. It's hard to get anything to go to seed here before we get
Hmm.
a frost in September. So, so what's coming up this year for you? Are there things that you're looking forward to, new things that you're gonna try?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't talked about it much, um, but I am going to try having a custom yarn made, with Louisiana grown fibers, including Angora, cotton, and Gulf Coast native wool. And if I have success with that, I also can do some stuff with mohair. I know people doing that, and also some Romney wool. So I found a mill in Florida that will blend cotton and wool together. He said he
Wow.
doesn't like doing it, but he will. He said that the cotton gets all in the air, like it's like from a Charles Dickens novel or whatever, you know. Wear a mask. He probably wears one anyway, but most mills that I've seen on social media, they're just doing wool, maybe Angora, maybe mohair, but mostly wool. So I was like, does anyone even do that? But I found one thanks to the Acadiana Fiber Shed. They
Okay.
had used his mill in the past. So in April, I'm going down to a shearing day down further south in Louisiana, a Gulf Coast native sheep farm. And she's super nice. It's like a whole tourism farm where kids go on their field trips,
Okay.
But it's on a Saturday, and she's gonna let my kids get in free and do all the activities, and I get to set up a booth as a vendor. I don't even think there's gonna be any other vendors, but I don't know. And I'm just gonna be there spinning and selling a few little finished objects. And I also get to pick out the fleeces that I want that get sheared that day and take them home.
What a
And then
great local collaboration.
yeah, I'm really excited because she's not a fiber artist. She just is a farmer, and I'm really excited. And then I'm gonna either grow cotton or buy some cotton depending on the success.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got my Angora, and I'm just gonna do a very, very, very small. I think he said I could do a 5 pound yarn batch, 5 pounds of fiber, so it'll be even less yarn,
Right after waste.
And I haven't decided the percentages of the different fibers, but it's going to be a blend of Angora, cotton, and wool.
Okay.
And he's like, you don't want to blend Angora with Gulf Coast native. But the thing is, I've done it before on my drum carter, and I liked it. Like, I had a finer Gulf Coast native fleece, and I thought it was really nice. So he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well,
But
and
maybe he
not
is.
everybody's adventurous like we are, right?
Yeah, and he was skeptical whether anyone would be interested because it's not like a beautiful, luxurious yarn. I mean, I hope it will be, but it's not like a guaranteed thing.
Sure.
But I think that if I take it to my local fiber festival in February in a year in Vicksburg, Mississippi, that people will buy it, even if it's really expensive, because it's going to be really expensive.
Yeah. I'm gonna
But
try.
we'll see. I'm excited about trying that out.
Well, and I think, I mean, this is just me, but I think not everybody is using yarn to make something that's going to be a garment,
Mhm.
you know? Uh, so I think that adventurousness with things that don't necessarily go together are really fascinating. And as weavers who maybe aren't making garments, we're looking for things. We're looking for things that dye well. I mean, we're just looking for different stuff. And it doesn't have to, like be perfect for the Princess and the Pea folks who, need something else next to their skin. So, woohoo. I haven't worked with Gulf Coast native. What is it a heritage breed? What's the fiber like?
Yeah, it's really cool. Gulf Coast native is a landrace sheep, so it's not a breed, it's a landrace. And I
Okay.
still don't exactly know what that means, but I think it means it's like a genetic pool from an area that wasn't bred intentionally or
Right.
something like that. And their story is that Columbus brought them over at some point and kind of dumped them in like Florida or South Carolina or something, and just hoped that they would survive as a food source for people and a food, wool, and milk source for
Okay.
potential colonizers. And they did pretty well over the centuries. It's a very harsh climate for sheep. It's very humid, very hot, lots of parasites.
Okay.
All things that sheep do not do well with.
Right.
So, I mean, they did pretty well. I mean, they adapted.
Party wise.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, very, very hardy. They are very parasite resistant and hoof rot resistant. You don't have to deworm them. You can, and that would probably help them, but they do not have to be dewormed. And their wool is just a wide range of types, kind of like I think Shetland sheep. They can range from really fine to more coarse, and they're nowadays they're mostly white, but there's some browns and blacks
Okay.
too. was going to say something else. Oh, and they don't grow wool on their legs and bellies because it's hot.
Okay, yeah, right.
That's how they adapted, and now they've almost gone extinct because they're not super meat producing sheep, and they're just like a smallish medium size, and they're multi-purpose. They've always been meant to be multi-purpose. And most people, if they do raise sheep at all here, they raise hair sheep
Mm-hmm.
because then you don't have to shear them and they just do a little better in the heat.
Right.
But because they're parasite resistant, it's become a lot more popular. I mean, I don't think they're still that popular, but people are starting to think, parasites are building resistance to our dewormers. So we don't want to just throw out this breed that has this resistance bred into its genetics. So there's several farmers that are, part of the livestock conservancy.
I was going to ask if it was on the conservancy list. Yeah. Well, and I wonder if you crossbred that, if you would get that parasite resistance.
Yeah, that could be great.
I mean, you don't ever get to like pick and choose which part crosses over, but
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to have to, I feel like I've seen them when I've looked at my Fleece and Fiber source book, but I'm going to have to go back and look again. Interesting. Well, I think that's fascinating. I can hardly wait to hear about how that fiber, how your yarn comes out. That's going to be fun. All right. Anything else coming up before we take some questions?
In a little under 2 weeks, I'm going to be vending at it's actually the same day as my WAFA sale. I'm going to be a wreck. But if anyone lives kind of in the area of Northern Louisiana, the Northern Louisiana Quilt Show is happening in West Monroe, Louisiana. And if you like quilts, it's really cool. And there's going to be demos and vendors and food you can buy and just a ton of quilts from the region on display. And so I think it'd be worth driving to if you're kind of in the area. And like I said, I'm going to be vending there. I'm not going to have a lot of fiber, but I'm going to have finished products and drop spindle kits because I'm going to demonstrate drop spindle spinning and try and convert some quilters.
Way to go.
I'm a quilter too, so that's why I'm in the quilt guild, but I don't make very many quilts. I do fiber art and spinning and stuff.
Okay, so tell us that date again.
That's February 23rd and 24th, Friday and Saturday in West Monroe, and my WAFA sale is Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time because I'm going to come home, eat dinner, and then get ready for my sale.
It'll be a crazy day.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So also then tell us where else we can find you on the internet. You have a Facebook page.
I'm also on Instagram. It's pretty much the same as my Facebook page. It's Willow Oak Farm and Fiber, and it's like the same posts.
Okay.
And then I have a website. It's willowoakfarmandfiber.com. That's my shop. And I also have a blog and a Ko-Fi donations link for my farm, and newsletter sign up is on the website. And yeah, the website has
newsletter.
Everything. What's that?
No, go ahead.
The website has links to everything, so it's a good place to go.
Yeah, and the newsletter is great. It's newsy and full of great information and comes regularly.
Thank you. Yes, I do try to send out my newsletter regularly, and I try to not just have it be, look what I'm selling, I want it to be interesting and inspiring, and one of my whys for my business is just being curious and adventurous and creative with fiber art, as well as the whole regional fiber thing. So I try to do that in the newsletter.
I check. I think you've done. It's a really great newsletter. I really look forward to it. Okay, so I'm going to back up here. I think Lizette, you asked a question about what breed, and we got that answered. And I'm jealous that you grow peaches, Lizette. Okay, and then Lizette asked what you're feeding your rabbits. Maybe is that what you're asking, Lizette? Maybe.
All right, I can just answer that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angora rabbits need, there's two essential things they need. They need a high protein rabbit pellet and they need hay. At my local Tractor Supply or feed store, I can't buy a rabbit pellet feed that has a high enough protein content. I think it's 17 or 18% is what they tell you should have at the minimum. So I have to order it from the Tractor Supply website, which if you get enough bags, then the shipping is free, so it's fine.
Mhm.
But it's just like a higher protein rabbit pellet feed. And then they also need hay, not alfalfa, but like a Timothy hay or some kind of hay, because that helps with keep their digestive system moving and keeps their teeth from growing too long. Helps wear that down.
Okay. All right. And then Catherine said about the Gulf Coast native that she knitted mittens that turned out too big, and she threw them in the washer and dryer and there was no shrinkage.
I am surprised at that too, although I haven't tried felting Gulf Coast native yet myself. So I'm curious to experiment with that now.
I think that's, always good to know if there are fibers out there that don't felt.
Yeah.
So big mittens, Catherine, were they really big mittens? All right. So if anyone else has questions, I would love to open it up for that. You just need to unmute yourself and join us.
So you mentioned you had crossbred your bunnies, and I was wondering what you crossed them with, giant and what?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. My first two rabbits were half German and half satin. And then my first litter, I got a satin buck. And so they were like 3/4 satin and 1/4 German.
Nice.
And then I lost my satin buck, but honestly, he wasn't my favorite fiber-wise, which a lot of people love it. So, don't take my word for it necessarily. But I had gotten a couple of giant Angoras and I just absolutely loved them. So ever since then, I've just been breeding giant Angora into my German satin mixed breeds and just getting closer and closer to just pure giant Angora.
Very cool.
So about the giant mittens,
Yeah.
they were probably a size and a half too big for my hand. They also were knit sideways instead of from the cuff up and then seamed. It was just a weird thing I wanted to try. And somebody sent me Gulf Coast native yarn in a yarn exchange. So that's how I ended up with it.
Okay.
And it was nice. It was fun to knit with. I think I dyed it with madder. But they were enormous. They were just way too big. Have I worn them this winter? Yes, I have.
Oh.
And
I
so
was gonna ask if you had a
fine.
friend with big hands or something.
If I had a friend with big hands, I would give them away.
Well, sometimes it's nice to be able to put layers underneath, right?
Right.
Oh.
I really found that the bunny fertilizer, the waste from the bunnies, really was wonderful in my garden. I had written to Teddy that I had a peach tree that was right next to the compost, and I would dump all the fertilizer in there. and those peaches were the size of grapefruits.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had crazy huge peaches in the tree that was next to it.
So it must not be the rabbit pelts must not be too hot.
No, you can put them straight on your garden.
They're
Okay.
not hot at
That's
all. Yeah.
I've one thing I want to say is that I've been a vegetable gardener for many years before I got rabbits and also chickens. And I just got rabbits and chickens like 4 or 5 years ago. And it was like a missing piece to the garden puzzle. Like, I don't think I could ever go back to just having a garden now that I have animals too that are making all this free fertilizer that's the best ever.
Right. Well, and eat the zucchini that's like, gone
Yeah.
over the edge or
Yeah. And they recycle it, especially those chickens. Like they recycle food that no one wants and they give us more food
yeah.
and fertilizer.
Yeah. Such a nice cycle.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions for Aleatha?
I was wondering if you were feeding with the Purina. They have one that's an 18%.
The one I do is called Blue Seal Show Hutch Deluxe.
Ah, okay.
Always used.
We have Kings out here in California, and they make their food. And I was fortunate enough to talk a small feed shop into carrying their stuff, so I didn't have to, go down to Central Valley with a vehicle and fill up. I only have the one bunny now. I had two, but I only have the one. And when you said you were hoping to get 30, I was like, and it takes an hour to shear one.
I'm gonna try and limit it to 10. That's my plan. But it fluctuates with the babies. So
I was gonna say they multiply,
yeah.
And what are you using to shear? Are you using the Bravura cordless?
No, it's like a cheap pet grooming shear clippers. That's what they're called. You buy it on Amazon. I think it's called Gimar. I have bought have two of them now and one that broke, but they work really well. I mean, they don't, if your rabbit is severely matted, then they're not going to work. But if you take care of your rabbits and you're not trying to rehab someone else's rabbit,
right,
then they.
All right. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. I had so much fun learning about everything that you do.
It's my favorite thing to talk about.
I know, right? Who doesn't want to talk about what they love?
Now I have to go check out your Facebook page and look for all the photos.
Absolutely. Guys need to go do that and follow her on Instagram and Facebook. Take a look at her website and sign up for her newsletter.
Yes. I missed where you're located. I'm assuming the South when you said it's really hot.
Yeah. Monroe, Louisiana.
Ah, okay. So we in California, even though we're in Northern California, we have like weeks where it's 110 plus. And my bunnies are inside. And so the utility bill's outrageous because we have to keep it above 70 degrees. I use that Arctic Air, that like personal air conditioner that's, as seen on TV. I think it's $19 or something. And it's a swamp cooler. It's amazing. So, everybody was saying, oh, just freeze the 2-liter bottles with some water in them. And then the bunnies will like lean on them. I just don't want the fur to get that wet, as condensation happens with that 2-liter bottle. So I was curious, when you said you were thinking of putting them on the porch, it's a north facing. If you have outlets, check out that Arctic Air. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I do have outlets, so I will definitely look into that.
It's actually it's USB. You don't even need an outlet because it's a USB charge thing. Yeah, cool. Inspector Gadget here had to go get a bunch of them. So we have 3 of them and we're down to 1 rabbit.
So you have 3 air conditioners for 1 rabbit, Lizette?
Well, we had 2. And then one of those was for me, with the hot flashes.
Right.
If I stay cool, I'm not cranky.
Just like the rabbits.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Very interesting.
You guys have a
Thank you
wonderful
so
evening.
much. You too.